सो फ्रेंड्स, सुबह से हमने सबने सुना कि पैसिव्स इज़ द फ्यूचर ऑफ डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन बिजनेस एंड द इन्वेस्टमेंट वर्ल्ड। लेकिन एक सबसे क्रिटिकल क्वेश्चन है इसको फ्यूचर बनाने के लिए, क्या पैसिव में पैसा है? सो मेरे पास 6 आज महारथी हैं, मैं बिल्कुल टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करूँगा, तुरंत पैनल स्टार्ट करूँगा ताकि हम लोग ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इंसाइट्स ले पाएँ आज। सो आई विल स्टार्ट विद कमलेश। कमलेश, एज अ डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मेरा लाइफ बहुत अच्छा चल रहा है। मैं एक्टिव फंड बेचता हूँ, मेरे क्लाइंट खुश है, मैं भी खुश हूँ और सेंसेक्स निफ्टी से ज़्यादा रिटर्न में दे पा रहा हूँ। तो ऐसे में क्यों अपना लाइफ में डिसरप्ट करूँ और पैसिव फंड बेचूँ?
मैं थोड़ा पीछे जाऊंगा क्वेश्चन से।
बिल्कुल।
मेरे को 25 साल हो गए इंडस्ट्री में, उसमें से 23 साल मैंने एक्टिव फंड्स किए हैं। सो आई अंडरस्टैंड वेयर यू आर कमिंग फ्रॉम, बट हैविंग सेड दैट, इफ़ वी सी पैसिव में आप बोलते हो रिटर्न्स, सॉरी एक्टिव में रिटर्न्स अच्छे आते हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है। अगर 30 अप्रैल को हमने एक इंटरनल एनालिसिस किया था, देर आर 40 ऑड एक्टिव फंड्स, लार्ज कैप फंड्स, जिसमें से 18 ने सेंसेक्स को बीट नहीं किया एक साल में, 3 साल में उससे ज़्यादा बढ़ते हैं, 10 साल में हार्डली 20% फंड्स बीट द बेंचमार्क्स। सो अगर मेरे को मार्केट लिंक रिटर्न चाहिए तो मैं एक्टिव फंड्स में क्यों जाऊं? मैं ज़्यादा TR क्यों पे करूं? So it's better if I want market link returns, I stay in passive funds, because I'll be making alpha there. If I want to make better returns, there are other avenues which we can discuss later.
Okay. So Pradeep, coming to you. So Pradeep, many distributors believe that there is no money in passive industry. But is this belief changing with time? What is your view? Can you speak a little louder? I don't think कि पीछे आपको सुनाई दे रहा है? Yeah.
There is another way to think about the same question. पैसिव से मेरा पैसा बनेगा के साथ आपको ये भी सोचना चाहिए पैसिव से क्या मेरा बिजनेस बढ़ेगा। सो अगर मैं 10 साल पहले जाऊँ तो आज जो पैसिव इंडस्ट्री का साइज़ है उस समय पूरा इंडस्ट्री का साइज़ उतना होता था, और आज इंडस्ट्री का साइज़ 80 odd lakh crore है। So if I have to take this ahead by another 10 years, so that is the kind of business I can expect only on passive side. So अगर passive उतना बड़ा होने वाला है, और if at all जैसा global trend है जहाँ पे 50% passive 50% active है, so अगर वो size attain करने का trajectory है तो मैं उसमें participate कर सकता हूँ क्या? तो that should be the primary question, number one. Second is, आज सिर्फ मेरा कैपिटल मार्केट इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अगर आप देखेंगे तो उसमें 15 करोड़ डीमैट अकाउंट होल्डर्स हैं। उसमें से ज़्यादातर जो ट्रेडर्स हैं, इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, उनका पैसा नहीं बन रहा है। सो और जो पैसिव में एक्सपीरियंस होता है आपका इन्वेस्ट करने का, स्पेशली ETF में, वो बहुत सिमिलर है जो कि स्टॉक में होता है। तो आप एक तरीके से पैसिव प्रोडक्ट ऑफर करके वो इन्वेस्टर्स को आप अपने प्लेटफॉर्म में ला सकते हैं। तो पहला क्वेश्चन कि मेरा पैसा बनेगा, हाँ, क्योंकि मेरा बिजनेस बढ़ सकता है। सो द माइंडसेट शुड बी ग्रोथ माइंडसेट रादर देन ओनली एक्टिव वर्सेस पैसिव। इंडिया हैज़ ऑलवेज बीन वसुदेव कुटुंबकम, कि हम लोग, इट्स नॉट एक्टिव वर्सेस पैसिव, इट इज़ एक्टिव एंड पैसिव, एंड इट वुड बी एडिटिव इन इंडिया। इट्स नॉट गोइंग टू कैनिबलाइज वन फॉर द अनदर।
लेकिन प्रदीप, ETF में तो कमीशन नहीं होता, तो मैं क्यों करूँ?
सो देयर आर मेनी बिजनेस मॉडल्स विच आर इवॉल्विंग, जहाँ पे आप प्योरली ऑन एडवाइजरी बेसिस you will advise the right allocation, and passive एक ऐसा प्रोडक्ट है जो कि प्योरेस्ट एसेट एलोकेशन टूल बन सकता है, जहाँ पे आप डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ मार्केट कैप को देख सकते हैं, डिफरेंट एसेट क्लासेस को देख सकते हैं। तो आप एक जो वी ऑल नो द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ एसेट एलोकेशन, राइट? सो प्योरेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ एसेट एलोकेशन टूल यूज करके you can offer different kind of services, you can charge clients, so thereby the model can be more sustainable in nature for long term growth.
Got it. प्रवीण, आप इस पैनल में अकेले डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं, तो प्रवीण के बारे में एक बात बता दूं कि इंडिया के वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट पैसिव फंड के डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है। सो अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर प्रवीण। सो प्रवीण, सबसे काम का सवाल आपसे मैं पूछना चाहता हूं कि पैसिव में पैसे बनते हैं क्या? आपका क्या एक्सपीरियंस है?
See, if you are in a business of distribution, you cannot be counting on money each and every product. नहीं तो डिमांड होता ही नहीं, राइट? डिमांड में कोरिएंडर भी बेचते हैं और बाकी सामान भी बेचते हैं। सिंपल वर्ड्स, आई एम जस्ट एक्सप्लेनिंग, ट्राइंग टू सी, देयर इज अ नीड फॉर समथिंग, you need to sell it. come what may. And for me, it's a basket of products which goes to the client. There could be cross-subsidization between the products. And you look at it as asset allocation for the client. The very growth of the passives which are seen in India, I think if I'm not wrong, last 5 years has seen some 15 times growth or something. So it is a huge number. It's almost 60% of the investors touched the passive funds in their life. So that shows there is a great amount of acceptance in industry, and you cannot run away from that. So if you're not selling it, I think it's your loss. I don't look at money. So if you're a large, I don't know about a small distributor. For a large distributor, there's a leeway out to them. They can bundle this under a PMS umbrella and can charge a fixed fee on the overall assets. So there are ways and means of, even earning from the product. The very nature of business is such that for a client, it's a very simple. If I want to crack a client first time, instead of sweating myself for 3 hours, I'll rather give them the simplest of the ATM which will understand what is coming in his way, simple structure, lowest of the fees. So for cracking new clients is the best way of, so there are various advantages. So I'll not shy away from selling any of this passive funds at all.
ग्रेट. तो राजेश जी, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि अगर कोई डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर पैसिव स्टार्ट करता है तो उसके अर्निंग में क्या फ़र्क पड़ेगा आज, और बी की कितना प्रपोर्शन ऑफ एसेट्स पैसिव को कर सकता है डिप्लॉय, जिससे उसका बिजनेस ज़्यादा इंटैक्ट रहे और ग्रो हो और ज़्यादा प्रॉब्लम ना हो उसको अर्निंग्स में.
Great. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this panel. So if you look at a distributor, and when they're looking at
Speak a little loud.
sorry, if you're looking at thinking from perspective of a distributor, and where they're looking to integrate passives, right? So I think it's not just a simple question of, of course, passives. The fee structure of passive by definition is lesser than active, right? So it's a no-brainer. But it's not a simply binary question and answer. There's a bigger story around it as to which way is the market heading. So if you look at global markets, on an average, passive is between 30 and 40%. China and US has above 50% is the percentage of passive, whereas in India, it's 17%. And 5 years ago, the percentage of passives used to be 7%. So the direction in which this is heading is clear. So it's not just a question of whether am I going to make money immediately or whether am I going to lose money right now because of that's a clear trend. The question is about whether am I equipped enough to take advantage of this, and what am I going to do to modify my business model and adapt to it so that I'm focusing more on giving the right mix and the right solutions in the best interest of the client. Because one thing is, without doubt, a big reason for the growth of passives is access to information. People are more knowledgeable. People know what is the value of active versus passive, and this knowledge is only growing over time. So this is time to embrace it and again work in the right manner and figure out what is the right mix. So it's short-term pain for long-term gain. That's what I say. And when it comes to what is the mix, there is no one-size-fits-all, because depending on who you are, where you operate, it depends on what is your client mix, what's their demographics, what's your own structure, what kind of technology that you have and services that you have. In general, you'll see 20 to 40% is on an average the proportion of equities, proportion of passives in equities. And again, depending on where you are in the whole path, it can be 20% to 40%. But I think that's probably one way to look at it.
Great. So Ritesh, many experts believe that passive can be a sustainable business model, but in the long run. मुझे ये जानना है कि लॉन्ग टर्म कितना लॉन्ग टर्म है, क्या जन्मों लगने वाले हैं?
गुड क्वेश्चन निशांत. सो पहली बात, आई वुड से देयर हैज़ टू बी मिक्स ऑफ एक्टिव एंड पैसिव. सो इससे पहले सेशन चल रहा था और बात हो रही थी कि पैसिव सही है, एक्टिव, आई थिंक दोनों सही है. क्लाइंट वांट returns. Now, returns can come from passive and active both. Now, active job is basic to create alpha over the benchmark. So, पहले बात हो रही थी एक्टिव रेशियो 70-90% जो एक्टिव फंड्स है मार्केट में बहुत कम है. आई एम हैप्पी टू कम फ्रॉम इन एम सी, वी फॉलो दैट काइंड ऑफ एक्टिव स्टाइल. और मुझे लगता है वो एक्टिव फंड्स लाएंगे पोर्टफोलियो में होने चाहिए. लेकिन अगर आप लॉन्ग टर्म की बात करते हैं तो इफ लेट्स से आई एम ए डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर स्टार्टिंग माई जर्नी टुडे, हाउ विल आई ग्रो माई लेट्स से बुक. तो मुझे क्लाइंट एक्विजिशन करना है. क्लाइंट एक्विजिशन करना है तो मुझे क्लाइंट एक्विजिशन के लिए सबसे ईजी क्या है, मैं क्लाइंट को वो प्रोडक्ट दूँ जहाँ मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा एक्सप्लेनेशन नहीं करना है. Product should be aligned to not, the investment decision should be aligned to goals, not the products. So what I'll do, I'll take a product, passive products, simple products which suited to the client, और वो लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए मैं उसको दूंगा. Now, एक्टिव हो या पैसिव हो, आपको ब्रोकरेज तो टेल पे ही मिलता है. वी ऑल नो इन दैट इज अ फॉर्मूला इन एक्टिव जहाँ पे कि AUM बढ़ता है तो TRs कम डाउन. आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ यू अवेयर दैट TRs नाउ कमिंग डाउन, एंड कहीं ना कहीं एक बैलेंस ब्लेंड बिटवीन आ रहा है एक्टिव और पैसिव में. मे भी थोड़ा सा कम हुआ अभी पैसिव में, बट ऑलवेज रिमेंबर योर ट्रेल्स आर नथिंग बट कैलकुलेटेड ऑन द मार्क टू मार्केट AUM. तो जब आप अगर पैसिव में लॉन्ग टर्म में आप वो प्रोडक्ट क्लाइंट को देते हो जो गोल से मैच हो रहे हैं, योर ट्रेल स्टार्ट्स टू अर्न फ्रॉम डे वन. सो कीप अ ब्लेंड ऑफ लाइक अ 60-40 और 70-30 टूवर्ड्स. आप 70% 60% पैसिव दीजिए जहाँ पे आप क्लाइंट के गोल्स को महत्व दे रहे हो और आप प्रोडक्ट हिसाब से सजेस्ट कर रहे हो उसको जो भी है. 30% आप उसको एक्टिव दे दीजिए, डिपेंड्स अपॉन जो भी उसको सूटेबल है. एंड ऑफ द डे यू आर फुलफिलिंग दैट क्लाइंट्स मोर और लेस गोल्स ऑफ द फ्यूचर. एंड इफ क्लाइंट्स आर एबल टू अचीव द गोल, आई डू नॉट वरी कि पार्टनर का भी मोटा मोटा जो आप बोल रहे हैं कि लॉन्ग टर्म में उसके लिए भी बेनिफिशियल होना चाहिए. आई थिंक इट विल हैपन. सेकेंड थिंग, जब हम हमेशा प्रोडक्ट की बात करते हैं और जब उस पर डिस्कशन करते हैं, there are lot of categories जो एक्टिव में आप प्ले ही नहीं कर सकते हो. तो lot of great themes I can tell you because we come from AMC, we have lot of unique things we are doing. So for example, let's say capital market or a defense kind of a portfolios जहाँ पे स्टॉक ही 20 है, आप एक्टिव मैनेजर प्ले नहीं कर सकता है. जहाँ पे 200 स्टॉक का मैनेजर कुछ शर्ट भी लेगा एक्टिव में, पैसिव में क्या करेगा, राइट? सॉरी, यू कैन नॉट डू मच ऑन दी ऑन द एक्टिव साइड. सो दोज थिंग्स विच आर वेरी वेरी यूनिक टू पैसिव्स जहाँ पे आप एक्टिव में प्ले ही नहीं कर सकते. एंड आई कैन टेल यू विद द फैक्टर्स बिकमिंग सो पॉपुलर इन इंडिया. यूएस को आप देखिए, यूएस में इफ यू लुक एट यूएस में राइट नाउ यू सी अ बिग चंक ऑफ मनी गोइंग टू ETF एंड पैसिव एंड अदर टू एक्टिव. वो बीच में क्लोजेड फंड सही नहीं, एंड विद इन दैट फैक्टर्स आर टेकिंग द सेंटर स्टेज. तो इन फैक्टर्स फंड आर मेकिंग द इंटायर इन्वेस्टमेंट स्मार्ट मीटर इवन मोर अट्रैक्टिव. तो मुझे लगता है पैसिव इज़ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग स्पेस. इंडेक्स के बाहर बहुत ज़्यादा ऑप्शन है आपके पास, और अगर कोई भी एडवाइज़र पार्टनर अभी बिजनेस शुरुआत कर रहा है, मुझे लगता है अगर क्लाइंट के लॉन्ग टर्म से अलाइनमेंट है, आई डोंट थिंक हैज़ टू वरी ईशांत, ही विल मेक डिसेंट वेल्थ क्रिएशन ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम.
ग्रेट आंसर रितेश. सो श्रवण, मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ कि व्हाट आर सम की चैलेंजेस दैट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स टुडे फेस while recommending passive funds? Is it lack of awareness? Is it lower commission, or it is something else? What is your view?
Sure. First, let's understand what passive funds bring to the table. So, I mean, simplicity is the best advantage of passive fund, because whenever you are selecting any particular passive fund, you know what you are buying. जो दिखता है वो मिलता है. अगर आप सेंसेक्स या निफ्टी इंडेक्स फंड में पैसा डाल रहे हैं तो आपको पता है कि आप 30 to 50 स्टॉक जो इंडिया के हैं उनमें आप पैसा लगा रहे हैं. And since these indices are having 30-40 years history, and you can analyze the companies which are part of these indices in terms of earnings growth, valuation, and different analysis you can do. And accordingly, you can decide that what is the appropriate mix of investing in across large cap, mid cap, and small cap. Second, in terms of, from business perspective, what passive funds bring to the table is, this can be a great client acquisition tool. Why I am saying so? Because let's say if you are handling 100 clients, and if you want to reach to, let's say, 5,000 clients in next 5-10 year period, it's extremely difficult to do that particular job just from active funds. Because as my fellow panelists have highlighted that, these funds are so simple that within a first meeting you can explain the advantages of these particular funds to the investors. So, getting first yes is very important in investing, because in a sense you are able to acquire as many customers. In that case, you can make more money from those clients from long-term perspective. So one should look at lifetime value of the customer rather than percentage of commission that you earn from any particular product. And we have seen time and again that typically customer-centric businesses have higher probability of success. We have seen cab aggregators, at the same time delivery apps, wherein they are working with a very thin margin. But we have seen that these kind of companies have succeeded in last 5-10 year period because the main business premise of their, the core part of their business is what's good for the customer. So if you are advising customer which is good for the customer from long-term perspective, then ultimately that particular client will reward you from medium to long-term perspective. So one should not focus on immediate gain, but lifetime value of the customer whenever you are investing, whenever you are advising any particular scheme or particular product. And I believe that one should not look active as a competition to passive. I mean, these two are complementary products. Certain products which can help you generate market return at substantially lower cost, while certain products could generate you alpha or better returns. So you should combine both active and passive funds in a particular client's portfolio.
Great. So Kamlesh, within index fund, we have market capitalization based index fund as well as smart beta. Smart beta का commission better होता है ना? तो क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स को स्मार्ट बीटा या निफ्टी 500 पे ज़्यादा फोकस करना चाहिए कंपेयर टू निफ्टी 50 सेंसेक्स पोर्टफोलियो क्रिएशन पे?
मेन पर्पस क्या है, क्लाइंट का ज़्यादा रिटर्न बनाना है पोर्टफोलियो लेवल पे कि अपना कमीशन दे,
लेकिन थोड़ा बिजनेस सेंस भी बनना चाहिए ना।
सो देयर इज अ फैलेसी, व्हाट यू आर सेइंग इज कि खाली इंडेक्स में कमीशन कम है. इफ यू सी all the indices, whether it is a factor or a theme or a broad-based indices, each AMC has a policy what they want to offer. So in our company, we have expense ratios. SEBI allows up to 1%, but we don't charge 1%. We charge much lower than that. And there's a range from maybe 25 bips to almost 70 bips. So ऐसा नहीं है कि फैक्टर में ज़्यादा कमीशन होता है, ब्रॉड इंडेक्स में कम होता है. That's each individual AMC, they have to decide उनको क्या करना है. Having said that, जो पार्टनर्स हैं, if they are on a advisory model, वहाँ पे direct plans में commissions are very less. This I'm talking about index. But if you go to ETFs, because this is a passive complex, I guess we have to discuss ETFs also. So ETFs में there is no such thing as a commission. वहाँ पे only two things matter. One is your expense ratio and one is your what do you call the tracking error. तो जिसका tracking error सबसे कम होगा, पैसा उधर जाएगा. And over the period of time, client also understands these 3 to 4 things because he wants a better generation of returns on his overall portfolio level. So, for example, if I want to generate 100 rupees, so I can park 30 to 40% in my large cap funds, maybe in an index or any large cap fund. But मेरे को अगर extra पैसा चाहिए, तो I have to select factors. I'll give you an example. Broader markets have not given any good returns in last almost 24 months. But there are a couple of broad-based themes which have given more than 20% returns. I'll not name any theme as of now. It's available on everywhere. So 15 to 20% allocation, if you have in 2 to 3 themes, you'll get good returns. Plus, there are some factors wherein sometimes momentum does well, sometimes value does well, sometimes any other quality does well. So advisor, उसका काम खाली commission नहीं है. He has to look into it. He has to have a futuristic vision where his client will make more money. As long as client का portfolio ज़्यादा return बनाएगा, this guy will make more money. Plus he will give more references because community में उनका नाम होगा कि this guy doesn't make money only for himself. He ensures the family whom he is catering, they are well taken care of. It's like I'll give you a small anecdote. It's like a doctor. If you go to a doctor, he'll not prescribe the most expensive medicine. He'll give you a normal medicine if you're getting okay.
Very, very true. Very insightful, Kamlesh. So Pradeep, एक रफ व्यू एट TR मैं देखता हूँ तो डायरेक्ट प्लान एक्टिवली मैनेज और पैसिव इंडेक्स फंड का जो रेगुलर प्लान है, तो पैसिव इंडेक्स फंड इज चीपर देन द डायरेक्ट प्लान एज वेल. तो क्या डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स पैसिव फंड के थ्रू ये डायरेक्ट प्लान इन्वेस्टर्स को एक्वायर कर सकते हैं? क्या ये क्लाइंट एक्विजिशन टूल बन सकता है उनके लिए?
100%. So as I said in my opening statement that it should definitely be looked at as growth strategy. So we all know that this category is going to grow, and how can I be at advantage point as a distributor is what I have to plan for. So it can be a client acquisition tool for sure. So I love comparing industries. Like within financial services, you look at other industries. So the closest example is maybe broking. So broking, you look at the explosion happened in say 2020 and post say next 3 years. And what happened, like see the erstwhile brokers who could adapt and offer full scale services likes of research, say maybe wealth management, say portfolio management, so on and so forth. They were the guys who did well, not the guys who who stopped or who didn't believe that this could happen. So similarly is the case with say this business model. When you want to adapt to the change, or you want to be part of the growth, then definitely the change has to happen. So maybe passives can do what internet did to digital, where when internet, say post 2016, when internet became cheap, you saw the kind of explosion which happened. Similarly, when the central part of everything, that is consumer, that is the investor, he is at vantage point, then definitely that product would grow. And that is the growth engine which everyone should look to be part of.
Great. So Praveen, you deal with clients in and out. So how has been the demand of passive funds among various categories of investors, retail, HNIs? What's your view?
Yeah, I'll tell you how I do. We unfortunately only large investors with us, but this applies to general plethora of investors. So there is, I think demand-wise, I think we should create a pull factor for this product. People will never ask, give me this and give me that. They will see my cost is contained on the overall basis. Be it a family office or very large investor, they are somewhat become cost conscious eventually. For us, I think it's an interesting thing. So just to give example, like, large cap fund, it is just example. I'm not saying which practice. So there we try to give it in the ETF form or the passive form to cut the overall cost of the cost for the client. And that's how, when we try to beat the large NDs or the large distributors, where they can offer, some fixed fee kind of a model, which is not possible for MFDs. So keep in mind, simple things like, large cap allocation can come with the passive kind of funds. So you overall explain client how you're going to cut down the cost on an overall basis. Secondly, one need to very, like somebody said about the doctor, so you're always meant for the second reference when it comes to a large investor. Whatever allocation you go and give it to him, he is definitely going to go to some other distributor or his friend and ask whether this is going to be right. So, second opinion, absolutely. So that is bound to happen. So you should be very frank, upfront, keeping one intention in mind, what it means for the client, not what it means to you. I am looking at 10x story. Today, we are at 18% of industry, and US is almost 60-65. I think it's a long way to go. Market is going to expand. I think it's all volume and volume story. Focus at larger picture than, looking at 5 bips and 3 bips and 4 bips. Somebody rightly said ki if the value NAV grows, 10 becomes 20, your fee is doubling eventually next year or whatever year down the line. So don't look at macro things. I think look at the larger picture. So for client, actually, he will not say anything upfront, but he's keeping everything in mind that one should keep in mind. So he's definitely watching you, your each and every step. Being a transparent, being sitting on the side of client, we are grown. That's what I can share.
Very honestly, you have answered. So, Rajesh, I wanted to understand what AMCs can do differently to make passives more profitable for distributors.
Very interesting question. I've got 4 panel members here in the panel with me who are from AMCs. And as an index provider, I don't think I'm going to teach them how to make life easier for distributors. But I mean, what I will try to do is, I've had close to 15 years of experience working in markets like Europe, London, and in Asia Pac with some of the largest asset managers in the world. And I was right in the bang middle of the entire passive growth, especially in Europe. One of the key pushes that happened, especially in Europe, was MiFID II, and everybody knows that. No, and this is quite interesting from a distributor perspective. A big change. This was the main reason for this change was the whole commission-based structure was completely turned upside down. But a lot of people, and this is very, very important for distributors to understand that, instead of thinking that this is an opportunity lost and money lost, people decided that no, it's actually an opportunity for me to move up the value chain, to become the trusted advisor for my end clients. And that's that way they can charge better fees, higher fees from advisory. At the same time, providing access to lower fee products, overall creating more alpha for the end client. So in short, working in the best interest of the end clients. And if you look at the Indian market, and this is where again, as an index provider, we are working with on the large AMCs over here to bring better quality indices. So you've got better quality products and tools in your hand, not just pure market cap, but sector, thematic, factors. But what's missing for an end client is the advice. People, and as a distributor, you're at the right, absolutely right place to tell clients what to choose, how to construct their portfolios. And, it's an opportunity for you to move down, engage your clients in more meaningful discussion, a holistic portfolio discussion. And I think that's the way the rest of the world has already moved. And we are still at a point where we are trying to scale up. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. I would rather see this as an amazing opportunity. And AMCs are already doing what they can and more. As index providers, we're also there to support the cause. And I think it's for distributors to take that step forward and come to us rather than, putting all the onus on the AMCs.
Nice. So रितेश, अगर कोई यंग बंदा डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर कल बनता है तो क्या आप उसको एडवाइस करेंगे कि अपना बिजनेस सिर्फ पैसिव से बनाए?
सो निशांत, आई डोंट थिंक यहाँ पे बात ही नहीं चाहिए कि हम सिर्फ एक ही बिजनेस मॉडल चूज करें. वी हैव टू सी व्हाट इज बेस्ट फॉर अ क्लाइंट एंड ऑफ द डे. बट अगर मैं बिजनेस भी स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ, व्हाट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर मी टू स्टार्ट अ बिजनेस कि मैं क्लाइंट जल्दी एक्वायर करूँ. आई शुड बी मोर प्रोडक्टिव. नाउ इफ आई एम स्टार्टिंग अ बिजनेस एंड लेट्स से स्टार्ट गिविंग पैसिव ऑप्शन टू क्लाइंट्स, इट्स ईजी टू एक्सप्लेन. मुझे कोई भी अंडर परफॉर्मेंस आउट परफॉर्मेंस का बात नहीं करना है. क्लाइंट्स के गोल से अलाइन करना है. मुझे उसको बिहेवियर मैनेज करने में ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड नहीं करना होगा. बिकॉज ऑफ let's say market does well, the market does bad, the index will give what is supposed to give, or a smart beta fund will give. As a new partner or a new advisor, my job is to get more clients. So it will help me to put my energy in getting more clients because मैं वो time कहीं और use करूँगा. दूसरी चीज़, this is my 21st year in this industry. 20 साल पहले इंडेक्स मतलब सिर्फ 2 फंड होते थे, सेंसेक्स एंड निफ्टी. उसके आगे पीछे कुछ होता नहीं था मार्केट पे. Now these are abundant of products to choose from. If you look at the data for last 5 years, number of folios open people between 25 to 30 years are more than the number of folios being opened between 35 to 40 years. तो ये new set of clients आ रहा है, new generation आ रहा है. They also want simplicity in life. They don't want too complicated stuff to start with. Passive can actually move very well with these guys. कि भाई passives पे आप अपना उसको positioning कर रहे हैं, easy to get that product also. Secondly, my point will be that if the biggest challenge for any partner in this room is today, when market goes down, last year, so market sideways tha ya beech mein market went for some correction and people did not make money for 1.5 years, a lot of people spend time managing the behavior rather than acquiring more clients. So if you're starting a business, I think that is a time to focus on ज़्यादा clients बनाओ, अपना productive time use करो to get to more number of set of clients. I think passive is a great tool to start a business, to add your clients faster. And then when the client is with you, you're given a fantastic experience for 1 year, 2 years. Then you add on and give active and other more products to the client.
Very informative, Ritesh. So, Sharwan, इंटरनेशनली हमने देखा है कि पैसिव मेन स्ट्रीम बन चुका है. आप यूएस की बात करें, चाइना की बात करें, मोर देन 50% ऑफ एसेट्स नाउ कम फ्रॉम पैसिव साइड. तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स के लिए क्या लेसन है इंटरनेशनल मार्केट से?
Absolutely. As you rightly mentioned that we are seeing active shift from active to passive in global markets such as US. At the same time, European markets are also catching up in a big way. And in India also, we are seeing that passive are no longer niche. They have already become mainstream, because when we look at number of folios in which passive funds are, clients are holding, so there is a 8x jump in number of folios from just about 65 lakhs to 5.5 crore, 5.4 crore in last 5 years. So passive funds are no longer institutional or HNI customers business. They have already move towards retail customers. Retail investors are embracing both active and passive products. We believe that from global markets perspective, one should not look at product from construction point of view, but one should look at what is good for the client. So from product seller, we should become portfolio manufacturer for the client. And I believe that through passive, we can do that, because a particular passive fund is meant to work in a particular market environment, be it plain vanilla market cap based strategies spread across large cap, mid cap, small cap, certain thematic and sector funds, as well as different factors funds which tend to do well in different market environments. So let's say in current market environment wherein overall macroeconomic environment is not that suitable. So when we look at different factors performance, then we will find that typically quality as well as low volatility kind of strategies are much more suitable in current market environment. So because you have clear-cut data and performance trends of these indices across last 20-25 years in India, so you can understand which particular product is more suitable in current market environment. So it's easier to build client portfolio through passive. I'm not saying one should only look at passive. One should look at combination of active and passive. So from global market perspective, we have learned that the global advisors focus much more on clients' goal profile, their what is more suitable from taxation point of view. They look at lot more from asset allocation perspective. So these are the discussion we should take it forward to the client rather than just compare active versus passives. And we believe that both an active and passive have role to play in this particular regard.
So as a distributors, can I construct the entire portfolio through passive funds currently, given the number of funds we have, number of choices we have?
See, absolutely. So in the sense, passive funds provide solution across market capitalization. So top 500 companies spread across, let's say in case of NSE, Nifty, Next 50, mid cap, small cap, same is the case for BSE indices. And then we have sector and thematic strategies wherein let's say if you believe that a particular theme or sector can perform well, let's say private sector banks are looking much more attractive from valuation lens perspective at this point in time, then that can be best played through passive funds, because let's say private sector bank index fund will have allocation to top 10, 15 banks which are available in India. So you can play a particular theme or sector purely through passive. That kind of solution may or may not be available through active. And a similar line, a lot of actively managed funds have certain philosophy using which they construct their portfolio. Certain funds follow quality growth approach, certain funds follow value approach, certain funds follow combination of these two. So that kind of options are available through factor-based strategies as well. So and the best advantage of passive funds is the construct of the portfolio is known to you in advance. So it becomes much more easier to understand the product as compared to actively managed funds.
Very insightful, Sharvan. So ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है, फाइनल राउंड करते हैं. तो कमलेश, पहले आपसे जानना चाहूँगा कि एक कौन सी स्ट्रैटेजी है जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स रिकमेंड कर सकते हैं पैसिव का, जिससे थोड़ा पैसा बन सकता है?
यू आस्किंग खाली पैसा कैसे बनेगा?
हाँ, टॉपिक ही यही है.
So फिर there is nothing जो एमसी ज़्यादा पैसा देती है, बिकॉज पैसे है, इट्स कमोडिटी प्रोडक्ट, सबका माल सेम है. तो जो ज़्यादा, but on a lighter note, but you have to look into other factors also.
Yes,
fund का size, what is the fund size? Again I repeat, अगर ETF है तो ट्रैकिंग एरर कितना है, और अगर इंडेक्स फंड है तो आप ट्रैकिंग डिफरेंस देखना पड़ेगा आपको, जिसका ट्रैकिंग डिफरेंस कम है, इंडेक्स फंड में वॉल्यूम और वो सब नहीं आता है. ट्रैकिंग डिफरेंस कम है, ट्रैकिंग एरर जिसका कम है, एंड वॉल्यूम AUM जिसका ज़्यादा है, यू गो विद दैट, बिकॉज इसमें जस्ट अ कमोडिटी प्रोडक्ट. कोहिनूर का राइस सेम है, इंडिया गेट का राइस सेम है, एवरीथिंग इज सेम. मेरा निफ्टी इज इक्वल टू वॉट एवर 4 निफ्टीज आर देयर, एंड बेस्ट इज जिसका कनेक्ट AMC का कनेक्ट ग्राउंड लेवल पे ज़्यादा है, जो दिखता है वही बिकता है, तो मैक्सिमम पीपल हु कनेक्ट, आपके पास जो मैक्सिमम AMC के लोग आते हैं, दे टॉक अबाउट पैसेस एंड यू हैव द सर्विसेज ऑफ दैट AMC, एज सिंपल एज दैट, बिकॉज देर इज नथिंग अ वैल्यू एडिशन फ्रॉम AMC. There is no fund manager calls are required, no what you call follow-ups are required. Everything is autopilot. So you can't do anything beyond that point.
अच्छा, आपके पास कुछ पैसा हो, कुछ एक्टिव में डालना है या स्मार्ट बीटा में डालना है, आप कहाँ डालेंगे?
स्मार्ट बीटा सर मेरी चॉइस है, मेरे को कहाँ डालना है. अभी एज ऑफ नाउ मेरे को वैल्यू बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, माई पुट इट इन वैल्यू, बट 3 महीना पहले मोमेंटम अच्छा लग रहा था. बिकॉज स्मार्ट बीटा यू कैन नॉट कीप फॉर 5 या 6 years. आज मैं जो मेरे को आज अच्छा लगता है, इट हैज़ टू बी कैप्चर्ड एट दैट मोमेंट एंड यू मेक मनी. इट्स लाइक राइडिंग अ वेव्स व्हेन यू सर्फिंग. यू कांट से मेरे को जाके स्विम करना है, अगर मेरे को राइड करना है वेव को, तो आई विल enter at that point of time, but for that you need lot of research, you need lot of data points. You can't just say, so if you don't have time for all these things, just select a theme or select one of the 500 companies. There are various indices, select one of the indices and move that. Factors are little risky, at initial stage one should avoid factors. That's my personal opinion.
ग्रेट कमलेश. सो प्रदीप, अगर आप डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर होते तो क्या आप एक्टिव पैसिव दोनों करते या सिर्फ पैसिव करते?
So investing is more like, say, a compass. Like directionally you should be right. Similarly, doing business directionally you should be right. You need not be GPS that you want to reach a particular point exactly at the pinpoint location. Similarly, in business also, the way markets are evolving, the way overall ecosystem is evolving, you have to adapt accordingly. So the answer has to be active and passive. It cannot be only one. And why active and passive? There are so many other financial services products which are there, and it can be extended to private equity, it can be extended to REITs, InvIT, so on and so forth. Like as a business professional, I should be offering to my client depending on his requirement. If my client wants and his risk appetite, his goals are allowing him to invest in a certain asset class and product, I should have that as a business professional. So I have to offer everything which is there in the market. I should be equally equip myself and know the risk and nuances of that product, so that I can explain, not only explain, but also during the adverse times, handhold the client and maybe behaviorally help him overcome that volatility. So maybe the last remark I would like to make here is, difficult times are the best times when you should actually acquire clients, not only preserve the existing clients. And maybe we are in such market. So the answer has to be all the existing options, but I should be first aware of it and then maybe go ahead and offer.
Very valid point, Pradeep. So Praveen, one suggestion to AMCs to make passives more attractive for distributors.
I really don't know, but the space available with them, maybe their administration cost and all, if they can combine resources, they can combine, create some space for people like distributor. I doubt that can really help because of the overall TRs, expense ratios and all. But I really don't know how much that also makes sense. 5 basis here or there is not really going to create a big difference for the distributor. I think we should look at the bigger picture. That's what will be my suggestion. Then, running after, I'm the only one here as a distributor, but instead of running after AMCs, I run after my clients. That's the best way of looking at it.
Absolutely. So Rajarshi, so what would be the future of passive funds in India? Will it become the mainstream or it will remain niche?
I think if you
In 5 years, if you want to predict.
5 years, so I think I mentioned it right in my first, when I started the conversation, is we are at, passive is at 17%. So I think mainstream is a subjective thing. If US and China, you look at it, mainstream is probably 50%. But I think passive is already there. People are already aware of what value passive brings. And it is imperative that passive is increasingly looked at by the end investors as well as distributors as more and more mainstream and as a key building block for portfolios when looking at asset allocation. This is your beta. I think one of the previous panels, somebody mentioned कि alpha के चक्कर में beta मत खो देना. So that's where your passive is. If you are not even thinking of factors and others, simple market cap products, that's your entry point, that's your starting point, that's your beta. Focus on the beta, that's your core investments. Keep it there, because that's where you're going with where the market. If the market goes up by 10%, that's what your portfolio is going up by. Then focus on the others, and that's where, better advice can come into play. And you focus on whether you go through, factors or for active funds. And as you mentioned, it can be, private equity and other asset classes. Yeah, I mean, the options are actually quite endless. And goes back to my first point again. This is the perfect time for distributors to actually come in and make that difference through quality advice.
Very insightful, Rajesh. So, Ritesh, one suggestion for MFDs to make money out of passives.
पैसे को बेचना शुरू करें तो मुझे लग रहा है कि अभी भी बहुत कम एम है.
Yes.
और बहुत बार हमें चर्चा होती है. आई वॉज इन कोयम्बटूर 2 days back and I was talking about passive and we spent 10 minutes only talking about the brokerage. So I think we have to look beyond that because like I said, वो दायरा कम हो रहा है एक्टिव पैसिव का. दूसरा, सिंप्लिसिटी इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. सो अभी आप पूछ रहे थे तो मैं बोलता हूँ कि अगर आपको स्टार्ट करना है तो आप स्टार्ट करो निफ्टी 500 दे दो फॉर एग्जाम्पल. सो लार्ज मिड स्मॉल 2 मिनट के लिए हम दरकिनार करते हैं. जस्ट गिव निफ्टी 500, लार्ज मिड स्मॉल सब आ जाता है एंड यू विल बी सरप्राइज टू सी इट हैज़ डन सो मच बेटर वेल निफ्टी 50 विद हार्डली एनी वॉलेटिलिटी. दूसरी चीज़ बात हो रही थी कि जैसे आपको फैक्टर नहीं पता कौन सा फैक्टर में प्ले करना है, तो हमने इसलिए क्या किया, हमने वी लॉन्च अ प्रोडक्ट कॉल मल्टी फैक्टर इक्वल वेट. सो सिंप्लिसिटी इज़ द बेंचमार्क ऑफ दी सम ऑफ दी पैसिव प्रोडक्ट्स. तो पहले तो वो अपनाना होगा. दूसरा चीज़ आपको ये देखना होगा कि हमारा बेसिकली एज अ एंड इफ आई बिलीव इन योर शूज एज अ एडवाइजर, माई जॉब इज़ वॉट, माई जॉब इज़ टू इंश्योर माई क्लाइंट इज द बेस्ट पॉसिबल पोर्टफोलियो इन टर्म्स ऑफ लॉन्ग टर्म जो भी गोल्स को अलाइन करते हुए. मोमेंट वी डू दैट, पूरा पैसिव दायरा ऊपर हो जाता है. आप थीमेटिक दे सकते हो, आप मल्टीपल फैक्टर्स दे सकते हो, आप मार्केट कैप प्रोडक्ट बेस दे सकते हो. सो चॉइसेस आर एम्पल. नाउ यू हैव टू गो मे बी सिट विद द रिस्पेक्टिव जो भी आपको एमसी सही लगती है पैसिव में, आप बैठिए, समझिए, प्रोडक्ट समझिए. टुडे वी हैव जस्ट स्क्रैच द सरफेस, कहानी तो अभी बहुत बाकी है. सो द इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट स्टार्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग फर्स्ट, रिकमेंडिंग टू अंडरस्टैंडिंग फर्स्ट योर सेल्फ, फिर आप रिकमेंड कीजिए अपने क्लाइंट्स को, और फिर आप पोजीशनिंग देखिए कि आपके क्लाइंट के पोर्टफोलियो में सही बैठ रहा है कि नहीं बैठ रहा है. आई कैन बेट यू दैट लॉट ऑफ दिस पैसिव फंड्स विल स्टार्ट टू मेक सेंस टू यू. फिर से मैं बोलूँगा, एक्टिव का अलग काम है, पैसिव का अलग काम है. हम लोग यहाँ पे ये नहीं बोल रहे कि कोई अच्छा है कोई बुरा है. दे विल सॉल्व अ पर्पस फॉर वन काइंड सेट ऑफ क्लाइंट्स. लाइक फेलो पैनलिस्ट सेट कि भाई क्लाइंट को तो मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट चाहिए, आपके पास तो AIF होना चाहिए, PMS होना चाहिए, प्राइवेट इक्विटी होना चाहिए, सब होना चाहिए. जिस क्लाइंट को ज़रूरत है वो पूरा कीजिए. लेकिन पैसिव जिस तरह दुनिया में बड़ा है, इंडिया में ही बड़ा होने वाला है, क्या हम अब हमारे आर्बरी में सारे प्रोडक्ट है? दैट इज़ द पॉइंट. यू हैव टू आस्क योर सेल्फ, आर यू रेडी फॉर इट? एंड आई बिलीव इट्स द बेस्ट टाइम. पैसिव शुड बी वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट आर्मरी इन टर्म्स ऑफ योर प्रोडक्ट बास्केट.
बहुत बढ़िया आपने समअप किया रितेश. श्रवण, सो एक ऐसा मिथ जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स का है पैसिव फंड को लेके जो कि उन्हें ओवरकम करना चाहिए.
Sure. The biggest myth that I hear about passive fund is passive funds don't generate alpha. So we need to understand that the objective of passive fund is not to generate alpha, but to generate market return at substantially lower cost. So core part of the portfolio wherein you want to generate market return by saving a lot of cost for your client, that can be best played through passive fund. While then you can combine thematic sector as well as actively managed funds to choose product which you believe is rightly poised in current market environment. So one can combine these two solutions to generate healthy return for the investor. So I believe one should understand what a particular product is offering and whether that particular product is suitable in current market environment. The biggest challenge, be it active or passive fund in India, is typically we chase past returns. We look at last 3-5 year returns, and we believe that these are the funds which could do well going forward as well. So when we analyze performance of both active as well as passive, we will find that persistency of performance is low. So which means same set of funds which have done well in last 3 to 5 years may not perform well going forward. So while we are investing for the future, so we need to overcome these two myths, be it active or passive, when it comes to investing.
Very insightful. So with that, we have come to an end to this interesting session. आप सब ने बहुत अच्छे से दिल से बात किया, काफ़ी ब्राइट आइडियाज़ दिए कि कैसे एक्टिव और पैसिव को हम लोग मिक्स कर सकते हैं. पैसिव कैन बी क्लाइंट एक्विजिशन टूल, है ना, और पैसा भी बन सकता है पैसिव से एट द सेम टाइम. So thank you so much, guys. A big round of applause for this amazing panel, guys.